Crypto Twitter is awash with the rumor of SEC Chairman Gary Gensler resigning from the regulatory agency. Pro-XRP attorney John Deaton commented on the rumors, saying a Gensler resignation. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, just issued a public statement stating that Judge Annalisa Torres erred in her judgment in favor of Ripple and XRP last week, signaling its intention to appeal the verdict. Judge Torres determined last week that about half of Ripple's XRP sales over the years are not investment contracts. According to the SEC's recent allegation, the ruling has given other defendants battling in similar cases hope. As previously reported by Times Tabloid, the legal team defending Terraform Labs and Do Kwon, the creator of the collapsed Terra blockchain, referenced Ripple and XRP's recent success against the SEC to bolster their effort to dismiss the regulatory agency's case over Terra's collapse. As previously stated in a tweet, James Key Phelan, a defense lawyer and former federal prosecutor, SEC is presently exploring a review of the historic XRP triumph. Do Kwon, the imprisoned Terraform Labs co-founder, is one of the defendants seeking to use Torres' ruling to circumvent the securities regulator. In a lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court in February, the SEC accused Kwon with fraud and other legal offenses. The SEC said in its statement that the judge in Kwon's case should not consider the Ripple case as precedent. Torres' ruling, according to the agency, adds unfounded requirements to determining whether an asset is a security, which would lead to an appeal of the verdict. According to the SEC legal staff, the conclusion was impossible to reconcile with all of these core securities law principles. When discussing the SEC's prospective court appeal over XRP's classification as a non-security, one of the XRP community's most ardent legal defenders, John Deaton, did not mince words. According to Deaton, the SEC will lose on appeal if they appeal it. The possibility of the SEC taking the case to the U.S. Court of Appeals was raised today as the securities regulator filed a brief detailing the recently finished Ripple versus SEC case. The SEC said in the paper that it is considering the various available avenues for further review and intends to recommend that the SEC seek such review. The aforementioned document is connected to the current SEC litigation against the defunct Terraform Labs, which includes its controversial founder, Do Kwon. Since late 2020, the SEC's EVs, Ripple litigation has been ongoing. Now that we're in the third quarter of 2023, the globe is becoming impatient to hear the court's decision on this protracted dispute. Most people expect a favorable verdict in favor of XRP before the end of this quarter. The issue on everyone's mind right now is when the Ripple and XRP litigation will be resolved. A brief conversation about this occurred on Twitter among members of the online crypto community. Let's take a look at the many reasons why the XRP litigation has taken so long. According to this tweet, the reactions have definitely been about both parties of the litigation gaining time. According to one comment, the case generated a lot of attention, but if it takes a long time, people will lose interest. According to their remark, they predict that the value of XRP will ultimately skyrocket since it provides a valuable use case. As a result, investors of XRP, in their perspective, will acquire exponential riches over time. As a result, the SEC is attempting to lengthen the term of the litigation in order to dissuade interest, resulting in a smaller pool of persons profiting. Meanwhile, another respondent argues that the XRP litigation is taking so long because the court expects both parties to settle rather than go to war. At the same time, the same answer claims that Ripple is postponing the litigation in order to bring on additional on-demand liquid partners. Furthermore, according to another statement, the XRP case will not be resolved for another year. However, they failed to explain why they hold this opinion. Instead, another statement suggests that the XRP case might be extended for another year. According to this explanation, any and all delays are most likely attributable to the extremely sluggish speed of the American judicial system. On July 11, John Deaton disclosed some details about how much Judge Annalisa Torres charges for judgment on court matters. The XRP community is awaiting Judge Torres' verdict after Ripple and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission submitted reply papers in December. While it has been 7 months, Ripple is not Judge Torres' sole case. He said that the Thor Equities case's reply papers were also submitted in December, and that Judge Torres has yet to decide. He did, however, explain that Judge Torres delayed 7 months to announce her ruling in Quiller, Inc. versus Hughes, and 6 months in Fitzgerald case and numerous other instances. Deaton feels she has a good chance of ruling this month since she has taken her time. Ripple key to David Schwartz responded to Deaton, stating that he anticipates a summary judgment verdict would be issued before the end of September. Several members of the XRP community have speculated that a settlement in the SEC Ripple lawsuit is imminent in light of Judge Sarah Netburn's decision. For background, yesterday, Judge Netburn instructed the parties to hold a settlement conference if they feel it would be beneficial at this time. If so, the parties must agree on 3 mutually suitable days. Yesterday, Fox Business reporter Eleanor Terrett tweeted a link to the report. Because the court schedule is so full, the judge requests that the parties establish the settlement conference date at least 6 to 8 weeks in advance. The ruling said that the court would not abide by any requests for settlement discussions that were submitted after the deadline. Furthermore, it said that late requests for settlement talks would not result in a postponement of lawsuit deadlines. However, the ruling has caused considerable consternation among XRP supporters, who had hoped the dispute would soon be resolved. Strangely, Terrett used Twitter to explain Judge Netburn's ruling on the settlement. Terrett claims that a settlement is unlikely to be reached in the next 6 to 8 weeks, notwithstanding Judge Netburn's direction. She clarified that owing to the court's hectic schedule, the ruling only applies to the parties organizing a settlement conference 6 to 8 weeks in advance of the preferred date. Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton were among the attorneys the well-known journalist who has been following the SEC. Ripple litigation requested to emphasize the consequences of not participating in the settlement meeting or reaching a deal with Ripple. Pro-XRP attorney Fred Rispoli responded by saying the SEC and Ripple would meet for a settlement conference to avoid the court's ire. But attorney Rispoli is certain that, like the 2 previous settlement conferences, this one will end in failure. He continued by saying that settlements often occur when both sides find a middle ground that is acceptable to them. It's worth mentioning that, according to attorney Rispoli's predictions, either one or both of the parties will likely appeal Judge Annalisa Torres' summary judgment ruling. Attorney Bill Morgan said Tuesday that an appeal of Judge Torres' decision had been planned. You may remember that the court finally handed down the much-anticipated summary ruling, which was seen by many as a qualified win. Although she found that Ripple's programmatic sales of XRP do not constitute securities, she did find that the company's sales of XRP to institutional investors do form an investment contract. The SEC issued a statement confirming that it is currently reviewing Judge Torres' judgment to determine its next course of action. Yesterday, Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, shared these sentiments. Gensler reports that the SEC was dissatisfied with the court's decision on retail investors in the Ripple case. He continued by saying that the panel is reviewing that aspect of the ruling.